I'm giving free advice. Of course, you could pay lakhs and get brand image makeover. Dude, just change your name.
Change your name, or next expo, come with the real dog that you've made.
Now, change your name.
That's not going to happen.
Change your name.
Make a real
Go with the
Galgotian
practicals.
dog.
This is a rare conference which is supposed to be annual. Within 2.5 years has had 4 and moved from Bletchley Park when it was an AI safety summit to then impact and action. Like, why are governments so interested in implementing LLMs for public?
Prime Minister Rishi Sunak had, I guess my take is that it was very important for his legacy to be seen as leading the frontier of a global conversation against killer robots and potentially the end of the human race. And, this was clearly a question with global implications, and he pulled together this thing. It was the AI Safety Summit. But I think because tech CEOs showed up, and, not their number 3, number 4, but all of the big AI CEOs showed up. It immediately gave this event legitimacy that every other governance space, including the UN, was lacking.
This is the 4th AI Impact Summit, I believe, following on Bletchley Park, Paris, and Seoul, is that the earlier emphasis on doomsday scenarios regarding AI and ways to regulate ourselves into future safety has been almost entirely overshadowed by business and development deals.
Do you have any real life examples at which country is the most ahead or the most progressive or has already thought things through to a certain extent on how AI governance should happen, or everybody is still floundering in the same sea?
Okay, the EU actually has an AI Act, which, by the way, they had been working on for 5 years when ChatGPT was released. It almost doesn't matter, because when ChatGPT was released and the kind of innovation, market mania took over, you had senior European officials basically apologize for the GDPR and all this regulating that they've been doing, because there was so much political pressure on Europe to say, where are you in this race? We've lost out.
Some of the people were saying that, look, AI is going to help you. It can really help the frontline worker figure out malnutrition. But will the government accept that there's malnutrition? You can give all the data and you can give all the solutions, but the DM or the CM will say no.
Like RTI, you can get the documents out.
The best example is Kumbh Mela. UP government went to town saying it's an AI-powered Kumbh Mela. You can find, we are deploying AI tools. But you didn't tell us how many people died till today.
Significant or noticeable achievements of, especially in science or mathematical field, are of machine learning, but these large-scale LLM companies are sort of using it as PR. While they don't do any research like that, the promise is that everybody will have that tool. Every clinic in the remote villages of India will have the tool to recognize cancer early. But that's not these LLMs do.
Everyone seems to agree, and I think this is meant sincerely, that India is the best test bed, or someone called it the largest living laboratory for AI applications in the world.
So we are data guinea pigs.
Welcome to Chhota Hafta. Now, Chhota Hafta is but a small, chhota version of a complete weekly podcast, Newslaundry Hafta. The Newslaundry Hafta is where you get the week's news, what made the headlines, what didn't make the headlines, but the full version is available to subscribers only. And I don't mean YouTube subscribers, although YouTube subscribers are also very welcome, very, very grateful to you, but also to Newslaundry subscribers, the paying subscribers who pay to keep news free. So you can also become a paying subscriber by clicking the subscription link. Now, what do you get if you're a paying subscriber? You get access to all our paywall content, all interviews, podcasts, and importantly, you get access to a full unedited Hafta, where you not only get to hear the week's news, but you get to hear the Newslaundry editors' positions on matters. You get to see their biases, what are their prejudices. It's an exercise in transparency while also informing you, and we have a few quips and jokes and agreements and disagreements thrown in. So listen to the full Hafta, subscribe to Newslaundry, and pay to keep news free. Here we go.
अंग्रेज अपना लगान और न्यूज़लॉन्ड्री अपना हफ्ता कभी नहीं छोड़ते. Welcome to another episode of Hafta. We record this on Friday the 20th of February, 11:53 a.m. and we are still in the month of our 14th birthday. And if you haven't yet sent as a subscriber your video of that you built Newslaundry, please do. Here's a clip of all who have.
I'm Debashri. I believe in the power of conversations. I built Newslaundry.
I'm Atif Adam. I'm a health researcher and a proud father, and I built Newslaundry.
I'm Sushi. I love traveling to new places and trying out new things. I built Newslaundry.
I am Nishya Dave. I'm an Indian citizen and a marketeer, and I built Newslaundry.
I'm Gagan. I like fit people and a happy world, and I built Newslaundry.
I helped build Newslaundry.
I helped build Newslaundry.
I built Newslaundry.
I built Newslaundry.
I built Newslaundry.
I built Newslaundry.
We're going to be discussing the AI conference that has dominated headlines, and I think rightly so, because it is a world-altering technology. And I attended a session on the sidelines, not on the main Bharat Mandapam, which was also interesting, which we will talk about. We will have two guests talking about AI, but that's later. In the studio today, Manisha Pande. Welcome, Manisha.
Hi.
Shardool Katyayan. Welcome, Shardool.
Hello.
Manisha went to Bharat Mandapam.
Yes, on the third day.
Did you, Shardool?
I did not go, but I did watch 27, 28 hours of sessions. And
Yeah, they were live streamed. I
On
heard
YouTube.
about that as well.
yeah, all of them.
So before we get into the headlines, Newslaundry is 14 years old. To celebrate, we've launched the campaign that you just saw a clip of. It's your turn. You can scan this QR code that's flashing next to my face. So you can click in the link below and join the team that built Newslaundry. And that team is a team of thousands and thousands of subscribers. Let's make it hundreds of thousands. Also, we have a new NL Sena project up. Bulldozers in Kashi. It is a Sena project. It's how Banaras is being quietly remade in the name of Vikas. Old neighborhoods are being flattened. Grief is brushed aside at the cost of development, as often does happen. And that is not dealt with very well historically in India, ever since Bhakra Nangal Dam. And faith is now a logistical problem. This is the PM seat, a very important seat. But is he listening to the average Banaraswasi?
The series would be done by Alpana Kishore,
Yeah.
who had done a really remarkable series on Central Vista
Yeah.
for us.
We are joined by our first guest to discuss the AI conference and AI possibilities. Thank you for coming. Amba Kak is an Indian technology policy expert and researcher, correct?
Correct.
How was the conference? Did you have a good time? Was there too much, too little?
Because I've been to the version of this summit in Bletchley Park in the UK, which started with this whole thing, and then last year in Paris. And the vibe is very much rarefied AI governance spaces with governments and tech CEOs talking to each other, and then some of us folks from civil society to kind of make things a little bit interesting. But for the most part, you're talking to like either empty rooms or people in suits. Whereas in Bharat Mandapam, the vibe has been completely like the audience is mixed. There are school students. There is like a mummy telling her kid to raise hand and ask question about AI after an extremely technocratic
That's
policy panel. So I will say that, I don't know who is responsible or whether this was deliberate, but if there has been some democratizing of anything, I mean, there's been a lot of democratizing AI chat, but what has made me I guess like what has been kind of has added some magic to the to everything has been to have some like actual publics in the room and some a little bit of the chaos too. I think has been welcome. There have been some totally left field questions in the rooms, things that no one can orchestrate or plan or
The chaos, I think the first day, it could have just been avoided by the Prime Minister not going there. He could have just done a preview. The thing is, we know when we were planning to go to Ramnath Goenka Awards, and we knew it was like 5 hours of detailing. So a lot of exhibitors told me that we were locked out of our own stall because we had to go out and then we didn't know what to do. So all this could have just been avoided by you want to do your photo op, you want to walk in the halls, you want to meet people, do it a day before when it's shut for everyone else. So don't inconvenience people. So I think a lot could have been just avoided by just planning well. But I feel that maybe this will just allow them to think a little and organize something like this better. Because unlike a lot of people on Twitter, like Sohail Seth and all, were like, oh, marriage, we organize better marriages, or, we should, some event management company should be doing. I do think it should be state capacity.
Other than Anand Ambani's wedding, nothing can be done at this scale.
Well, I got a laugh out of you when I said that it wasn't terribly well organized, but then neither is AI. The fact is that, never mind the logistical challenges that the organizers have faced around the venue, it's hard to know what to do with this subject. It's too big, it's too fast moving, and frankly, it's also too important, especially in terms of its economics. Is that the earlier emphasis on doomsday scenarios regarding AI and ways to regulate ourselves into future safety has been almost entirely overshadowed by business and development deals.
We'll come to the technicalities. I just want to quickly get my Luddite rant out of the way.
Yes.
That the inconvenience caused to the ordinary Delhiite is ridiculous. And I would say it's acceptable if it's inevitable. It's an acceptable price to pay, but it's not inevitable.
Yeah.
In any other civilized democracy, citizens would not tolerate the kind of shit that happened. Where is Bharat Mandapam? Where is our office? This road was blocked. The law stipulates you can only block traffic for a head of state, the prime minister, or the president. Here, you're fucking blocking traffic for any chomu who's the head of CEO. How do you do that? People are walking 5 kilometers to get a cab.
I went into the conference with complete blank slate, no expectations. I was not expecting India's DeepSeek moment. I was not thinking China ye kar raha hai, America ye kar raha hai, hum kya kar rahe hain. I think if you went with that expectation, you're bound to be disappointed because we are nowhere close to what China, America are doing. With that thinking, I went to a lot of stalls where people were looking, and these are Indian companies mostly, some of them NGOs, are thinking of very granular India-specific situations. Like one of the stalls where I went to was basically using AI to aid frontline ASHA workers. So earlier when ASHA workers have to go check, when a baby is born, you have to check, you have to measure the head, the circumference, the weight. They would carry scales with them and do it. Now they have this thing which they just need their smartphone. They can take a video and it helps you track the development of the baby and tell you when it's alarming and when they should be informing the
Local
healthcare. And it is in their language.
I think there are definite some things that AI does which gives access to people who had none. For example, making a resume was such a, if you were from privilege and went to a public school, then you could kind of write it in the format. Now, even if you aren't, if English is not your first language, you can use AI to get a resume and send it, because sometimes just that would disqualify people who didn't have the formal training but had the aptitude or intelligence. Things like that help. I mean, these may be very minor things. Of course, there are very big dangers with AI as well.
Can I say something to this? Just that particular example about resume is so interesting. We always say this, that the things that delight us the most about AI is the kind of AI used by us, but the things we should be worried about is the kind of AI used on us. So resume scanning tools, which are now AI generated, have for years, and this has been now well documented by evidence, it was the white guy problem that you started this conversation with, right? If your name is Chad and you played lacrosse in college in America, you are to the top of the pile and nobody knows why, right? So the garbage.
Exactly, that's the downside as well.
There's a fabulous piece that UI had on AI recognizing caste.
Yeah.
When you say AI, just specify. Are you talking about LLMs or ML? LLMs do not understand anything. They only infer language through statistical aggregation. They are not doing semantic. They will never find any solution themselves.
Yeah, that we know. I mean,
the example you gave of resume, right? If you do not know what mistakes can be made in writing a resume in English, you have no business having access to LLM, because you will not be able to tell what it's saying. It's just aggregating words. It has no concept of epistemological things.
We may not be able to compete with the ChatGPT or whatever, but our market is big enough, and if we can just be the dominant players in our market, is that an ambition which is unrealistic? Like ultimately, will we just end up being plugins for the big guys?
I think at the end of the day, without other structural reform to the market, the big guy they have every incentive in the world to eat innovation downstream. People talk a lot about like control over infrastructure, chips, cloud, wo to hai. But in addition to that, what these companies control is access to pathways to monetization, the distribution layer. That's not just for consumers, it's also for the enterprise market, right?
This is going to go the way of search engine products or e-commerce. There'll be 10, 12 players in the market. Whoever can stay the longest, the top 2 or 3 will survive, everyone will die. If that does happen, will the failure of the other 8 lead to some huge market collapse, or will it just be a blip?
Are all of these companies going to be American companies at the end of the day, as they are right now? Or maybe Chinese, or maybe Mistral representing all of Europe. But the concentration of power, of corporate power right now among these companies, even if we think there are too many to survive, is very exclusively Silicon Valley, America's big tech giants. And that's something that I think is perhaps quietly on everyone's mind as this roadshow moves from country to country. Those companies obviously are talking about bringing a lot of money to India. They're very interested in India. A lot of people want to work with them or work for them.
बस मुफ्त में इतना ही मिलेगा. For the full uncut podcast, subscribe to Newslaundry and pay to keep news free. The best way to listen to the Hafta and indeed all our podcasts is through the Newslaundry app. You can download the app by clicking on the links given in the show notes. So do download our app and get the best podcast experience. And also pay for news and support a new news media ecosystem that Newslaundry is trying to encourage, where we are accountable to you because we run on contributions that you make. We don't take government ads, we don't take corporations ads, so that news serves the public, because when the public pays, the public is served. Subscribe to Newslaundry, click on the link in the show notes below and proudly say, I pay to keep news free.